Hey guys, it's West here, back with another Summer's War video. Today we are back on the Crushed Cookies account to update you guys on the progress I made since the last video. Since the last video we've had free rune removal and quite a few guild battles and a bunch of other stuff that's happened in game, so I'll cover it all right here, right now. Guild battles, I've been just grinding away, doing whatever, just trying to make comps that work, which is a little bit more difficult after the free rune removal changes that I made, and I'll show you guys that momentarily. We have bought our 90th pieces of the Ifrit summoning scroll, so we are one piece away from getting our second Ifrit summoning, so hopefully we get a Theo or Tessarian, whatever's new. So on free rune removal we made a lot of changes. I was really trying to test out if I was anywhere near the speed Dragon Speed 10 team I wanted to create. And I'll tell you guys that team again. It is Vertihile, Galleon, Stella, and then I wanted to add 2 Tarks, but instead of 2 Tarks I put 1 Tark and a Chilling in there. And I know Chilling could add a little bit more consistency and lower the rune requirement for the boss stage, so I had Chilling 6-starred and I runed him up for that. The team didn't really perform the way I wanted it to. I think that is one because I don't have the speed tower leveled up really at all, besides like level 2 I believe, and 2 because I don't have the damage output necessary with my units. My Tark on an attack slot 2 was only getting around plus 1000 attack, which was not enough for me. So the free rune removal changes that I did make were experimenting with Charlotte. So something I haven't done since I started was experimenting with another leadership skill besides Sigmaris's HP leadership skill. Because Sigmaris's HP leadership skill is so strong, all that extra HP adds all this survivability to your team, and it allows you to have a really safe speed team, if that makes sense. Your speed team has more sustain as a result of the higher HP. But I've had the Charlotte leadership skill since forever, since I've had Charlotte, and it is 38% crit rate for all monsters with the wind attribute. And what that means is all your rune requirements are lowered by 38% for your damage dealers, so you could focus on more crit damage heavy substats. And so I wanted to play around with this because I have the monsters capable of making a full wind damage dealer team, and so I figured, why not? Let's screw around, since I do want to rune up some of my other monsters with my better crit rate, crit damage subbed runes. So I put in Charlotte's leadership skill, and effectively for wind monsters, since you get the 15% bonus against water monsters, you have a 53% crit rate built into all your wind monsters. That is without any runes. And so you also have an additional 15% built into the monster. So that means 68% of your crit rate is done before you even put any runes on a monster, which is insane. So you only need to hit 32% from runes, you get 12% from a blade set, which means you only need 20% crit rate from your substats. So what I was able to do was eke out really low crit rate and focus on my crit damage. You'll see Charlotte is built a little bit better now. Her attack is still a little bit low, a lot lower than I'd like her to be, but I've managed to give her higher crit damage. She'll be at 203% once this rune is plus 15, and from here I will be keeping different runes than I was keeping before, since previously I was worried about having crit rate and crit damage as 2 substats before I even kept a rune, because honestly those are the substats you need to focus on any monster that is going to be normally ruined for everyday content without the leadership skill involved, because most of the time you're going to be using the speed leadership skill of your team or an attack power leadership skill. So that's how she turned out, and I really like her. Her damage has increased greatly, and she's just more fun to use. I've also kept her at that 47% accuracy, or around what it was before, because she's still able to land her attack bar reduction reliably in Giants, which was extremely important because that brings a lot of safety to my team. The next monster who was in my team, of course, Hraesvelg. I did also reduce his crit rate significantly. He is only 2 above the crit rate cap, so his runes are really efficient. And we could still make them even better because I know we could find better crit damage substats. And his speed has gone down by 4, which was my only issue with this rune change, but his crit damage has gone up by 35%, and his accuracy stayed the same. We got a little bit of resistance too, which is kind of nice because you don't like Hraesvelg getting stunned. But that's beside everything. I really like him. He's doing even more damage now, hitting about 24k with his second skill when he crits. Before he was sitting around 22, so a little bit of an increase with attack buff and defense break, of course. And I really like him because the branding in my team, the extra speed buff and attack buff he gives. So I didn't want to take him out of my team. The other unit that I'm putting into my team now is Lupinus. We did take out Sigmaris for Lupinus, so far we have Charlotte, Hraesvelg, and Lupinus are the 3 win monsters that are going to be utilizing that crit rate lead. Lupinus is in the same boat as Hraesvelg, 49% crit rate, and she did get a lot faster than when I put on Charlotte's runes, so you'll see speed, crit damage, attack, of course. Fairly mediocre subs. Her sub runes, except for this rune, her other runes could get much better than this, as I'd like to get her up to about 200% crit damage, just so on the boss stage she's really putting out those huge numbers. Having her around 200 speed would be nice as well, and maybe a little bit more accuracy, but I'm really happy with where she's at right now. So those are the monsters that I changed mostly, because my Chilling, my Tark, and my Stella had all the runes changed around, and I didn't like how it turned out, so I went ahead and I scratched that idea and I decided, let's make giants faster or more consistent. And this team isn't necessarily faster than my previous one, but it is definitely more consistent. Galleon got a little bit of a change. He has higher HP. He's got 2 less speed than he did previously, but in exchange he has a little bit more attack. He's got higher accuracy and a little bit of crit rate and crit damage, just because they were in the subs. So it's not terrible. His accuracy is higher. That's because I was playing around with him in Dragons, and in Dragons you need 55% accuracy. This will also help me for PvP, as higher accuracy is always better for some team comps. You don't wanna miss a defense break. Poseidon lost out on a slot 2, I believe, which is why his speed's a little bit lower right now. His slot 2 is only plus 12, so he'll still go back up to the speed he was before, maybe a little bit faster. And the main change I made that I was really excited about was Faye. So since I took off those runes from Hraesvelg, my good crit rate, crit damage runes that were here, I was able to put some of these on Faye, which is amazing, since Faye is really the pride and joy of my account, or at least is my pride and joy in terms of Summoner's War right now, because she performs in Arena for me, she performs in Guild Wars, she carries me through a lot of PvP content, and I've actually managed to make her work in Giants. And so that's about it for the rune changes. So I'm going to hop into Giants and show you guys what I mean and explain why I am loving my Fae in Giants right now. I've been experimenting switching Lupinus out back for Sigmaris as well, just because I'm not sure about the wave clear, but the thing is, this team, if it wipes, it wipes in a very strange way. We might see that here, but nonetheless, I really want to show you guys Faye's performance. So the reason why I really love Faye in this team is because she clears the mid-boss like nobody's business. If she has her 3rd skill up with an attack buff, and all that's left in the 3rd wave is the mid-boss, she can pretty much chunk the mid-boss from 75% health to nothing if she gets 3 ignore defenses. And it's fairly frequently I see it happen, and it's kind of ridiculous. And I want to say this team is more consistent. I did write it down, or I did write down all my runs and how they failed or whatever, or what I noticed in them. And it is a 93% success rate, as opposed to I had an 89% success rate on my previous speed team with the Sigmaris lead, which is crazy to think about that. And I'm not sure why, whether it was the damage output just wasn't high enough, or whether my monsters were just derping a little bit too much. So the only stage we're having any remote amount of trouble with is the boss stage. So the big thing about my previous team is it had Stella, so it had a consistent secondary defense break as well as a consistent secondary branding effect, and that was really nice for my team. So not having that kind of sucks. And you'll see a wipe there, just because my units didn't move fast enough, which is kind of frustrating, because I've actually put a lot of work into making all my Giants units faster. And so I'm not sure exactly what the issue is yet, or how to solve that issue yet. but for the most part, we've been this team has been farming pretty well outside of recording, of course. So the big thing that I want to do is I eventually want to sub out, of course, 1 unit for Lucian, because that will greatly increase the capability of clearing waves. So right now we really don't have a solid wave clearer. Charlotte's really nice for the damage output, but even Lupinus here, I'm not really super happy with Lupinus's damage, although she is at 5-star. 6-starring her will give a little bit more attack, because the base attack increases. But yeah, Hraesvelg doesn't really output as much damage as he, brings utility. So for the most part, I win by having a lot of attack bar reduction and relying on that max HP base damage and dots on the boss, which is pretty nice because it's like a secondary way to clear it. The other thing we lose by not having Stella in this comp is we lose the precious secondary attack bar reduction. Our primary attack bar reduction was Charlotte, and then Stella reduces it with the 3rd skill, able to bring it all back, which is really, really nice. But, I mean, we have Lupinus there for it now, so maybe with a little bit more accuracy she'll perform a little bit better, but that's beside the point. The team has been working really, really well. We'll talk about a monster. I did pull a new monster, which I thought I should mention. I pulled Sekhmet. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention or haven't been counting the amount of scrolls that I've said that I've summoned, I have gone through about 35-40 scrolls on a dry streak, which is really been kind of a bummer, but that's just how the summons work. Statistics just sometimes aren't in your favor. So I pulled a Sekhmet out of a random giant scroll. The funny thing is I actually skipped the lightning, so I went into the mystical scroll and I had the mindset of, I don't want to be disappointed by this mystical scroll. Let's just skip the lightning and get out of the way. So I skipped right through it and I pulled a Sekhmet, so I'm super happy. She's definitely getting runed up before a lot of my other Nat 5s. I was thinking about runing up Wind Monkey or Eladriel soon, but now that I've pulled a Sekhmet, just because of her utility and ability to take down niche units that I've been kind of struggling to take down in Guild Wars, I do plan on building her up. So her 3rd skill makes her really, really good, or a really, really good counter to monsters like Theomars on Will, monsters like Perna on Will. So being able to steal all the beneficial effects from a monster and reset their cooldowns is very, very good for a reviver monster, for a monster that you really don't want to do whatever the reason the enemy is using that monster for is going to do. For example, like Samath. So Samath won't be able to come back and revenge you from the grave because he'll be reset. So I'm super, super excited to build her up. She's just going to be in a Swift set. I don't think I'm going to Devilmon her yet. I do have Devilmons, and Charlotte is now Devilmon fully with the 2nd and 3rd skill. So I'm kind of torn between using Devilmons on Sekhmet or using Devilmons on Poseidon, as Poseidon is one of my main monsters in my AO, so I have been considering him just for the cool time turn reduction on his 2nd and 3rd skill. So that's all I have to talk about in terms of monsters that I've changed and summoned. I do want to talk about my TOA progression because I'm really happy with where I've gotten in TOA Hard. I'm currently at TOA Hard 93, which is the Ragdoll and 4 Leo stage, which is fairly frustrating, but not nearly as frustrating as the Achroma stage was. So until a viewer on stream told me a few weeks back, I didn't really understand a great way to go for this other than bringing some sort of invincibility buffer and some dark tank like Veramos or Basalt or the dark tank of your choice that can tank the most damage. So what I was told was, hey, you have Camule in your box, and I'm like, oh yeah, he reflects damage. So I did build up a Camule here. I did put him on double blade. This was so I could receive the maximum crit rate because I didn't want a unit just sitting there dead in my team whose only job is to survive until the Achroma stage. And so I built some crit rate on him so he could dot, a little bit of accuracy, not nearly enough, and I put some resistance on him so he could resist the silence at the boss stage. So my team for the first 5 or 6 tries was this, and I did not have a Michelle yet. So upon logging back into my account, my girlfriend had been playing on it, and she summoned me a Michelle, and I was super ecstatic about that because I 4-starred her, awakened her, and I fed her like some skill ups, but they didn't go into anything really important, so it didn't really matter. But between her second skill, which extends the time of beneficial effects and reduces the time of negative effects or harmful effects, and Mav's harmful effect reduction and cool time turn reduction, I was actually able to keep Camuel's invulnerability up indefinitely, or endurance and reflect damage buff up indefinitely. And with this team, on the second or third try, I was able to complete this stage. It was a little bit tedious, but as long as you can reset the the Zeros between your Beretta and whatever other attack bar reducer or resetter that you bring, you should be all set, because the Achromas will always attack Camuel, because my Camuel's 3-star, and that's about where your Camuel should always be. He did level up a little bit because I had to skill up his third skill. I was really lucky with the skill ups. They all went to his third skill, so I didn't have to feed him a ridiculous amount of monsters and level him up too high. Also, I wouldn't really recommend that you awaken him. For me, it was a speed tuning issue where my Camuel actually had to be a certain speed before, and this was when I was not using Michelle, so post that I wouldn't give him any speed, just so the Achromas can lap him as much as possible and do as much damage to themselves as they can. Now with the Leo stage, I'm considering something similar, using a Camuel, but to do that it requires a little bit of RNG, as Camuel has to be low health upon getting to that boss stage so that he is focused and targeted by the Leo and the Ragdolls. So that's about it for progression as a whole, and summarizes about everything that I've done so far. I did finish Fighter 3 last week as well. I'm getting really close to pushing into Conqueror 1. I can't wait to do that. I think it's just a rune quality thing, and I'm super psyched to be able to get into Conqueror. If you guys enjoyed, as usual, please like the video and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.